Bringing that good music. Yahweh International. New Foundation Production presents.
Just a little food for thought, baby. Just a little food for thought, baby. Come on. Just a little food for thought.
Yeah. Just a little food. Just a little food. Just a little food for thought. It's your boy Keith. What it do? Super excited about today's show. Because look, you gotta understand something, man. Let me go online real quick and let me let's see. Artist First Network. If you don't know, that's where we're at. The confirmation of topics that I bring up, man. I there's no words to explain when I've brought up a topic years ago, and now it's just getting that ear. You understand? It just, there's no words to even explain to you like how big that is to me, because lots of times when you're trying to bring a truth to people, there are a lot of people out there that A, don't want to hear it, B, don't want to believe it, C, want to close their eye. I mean, you can go down a list of things that people do because they just don't want to grow. They rather eat the same food every day because they like it. That ain't me. I've never been that way. I've always been one of the people that be like, nah, let me eat some different food. Let me just see what's out there. You know what I mean? So let me just talk about what's going on right now in the news. Rolling Stone article. Let me flip to this real quick. Just so you know, Rolling Stone article. Fake streams could be costing artists $3 million a year. 300 million a year. And they're saying artists, but it really means them because they're half the problem. All of a sudden, got through. Look, so let me just read this real quick. 2 months ago, Louis Prozin, founder of the long-running California label Hopeless Records, noticed an aberration on the company's streaming network. A track was crushing along, earning about 3,000 streams per day. Then, all of a sudden, it got 35,000 streams a day in 3 consecutive days. So he knew something wasn't right. It was like, something's not right here. And to make a long story short, that so many other people have found out about fake streams and how it affects their bottom line. We're going to talk about fake streams today. We're going to talk about deep fakes today because Congress has finally woke up. And it's not like this is new news, people. It's new news to you. But I have been talking about both of these topics on radio, I think. Let's see. When did I talk about this on radio? Let's go back into time. I'm going to say that maybe I was talking about January 2000 of last year. So here it is. February of this year was the first time. No, that's the second time I actually brought it up. Deepfakes on social media. But I do think I talked about a little bit. So we're going to go back even farther than that. Oh, here it is. April of 2017 of last year. The fake world, the fake news, the fake politics, fake hotness, fake fame, fake platinum, it was just fakeness going on. But the reason I had brought it up then is after 5 years of getting people to wake up, prior to this show, I had been really one of the people out there really talking about it, going against the grain. I had warning people that this had detrimental effects on the music industry. And just from what I saw, I explained to people where I first encountered fake plays, fake everything. MySpace period, during MySpace was the first time I had ever seen that. Doesn't mean it wasn't around before that. And MySpace has been gone for a very long time. So today we're going to just really go in, and I really want people to wake the heck up now. When did we all become so gullible? Then it's going to be the United States of gullible people. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't recognize when something is not quite right, when something don't make sense. Even this guy with the record label just knew something didn't make sense in his numbers. It wasn't even rocket science. Just he knew how to do the math. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, he's noticing you can't jump I'm not saying that you can't jump from 3,000 to, to 35, but I'm just saying there are certain things that go along with it that make sense. You know what I'm saying? And some of that is a boost in sales. How are you going to get 1 million streams with no sales? That don't make any sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are certain things that go along with being authentic. You know what I'm saying? An authentic rise in your music industry. You do more shows. There's just things A, B, C, and D. If I'm blowing up, there are certain things that's going to happen. DJs is playing me. The streets is hot for me. There's things that line up A, B, C, D, boom, 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 boom. Not coming out of clear blue. Not just coming out of left field. None of this stuff. No, like, who is these people? Like, who is this artist? That don't happen unless something is pushing it. So let me help everybody out. We're going to get to it today, man. So help me. This better be the last time I talk about it. Okay. So, when the Rolling Stone writes about anything, it's gone too far. Finally someone's like, okay, look, this is some BS and let's just get to it. Right? So everybody, look, this is not rocket science. Let me explain to you for the final and last time, so no one has an excuse. The current state of the music industry, specifically hip hop, R&B, everything black, especially, we tend to be on the bigger scale of this, but all genres basically are affected by it. But specifically hip hop rap. Everything that we're listening to right now is a product of fake streaming. Every artist that is popping, hot, doing it, everything is just a product of fake streaming, fakeness at its best. Here are the artists that I think have put in work and quality, and you hear it. Like, you hear it, you see it, you know what it is. Kendrick Lamar, you hear it, you see it, you know what it is. You know he's hot, he's fire because the quality is there. J. Cole, you know he's hot because the quality is there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, I want you to just start listening to all these little pumps and little this and little that. Let me help you understand how I knew something was wrong, so you can understand maybe why you didn't catch it. So when I was in LA, it was very clear who was popping and who wasn't. How? Because you heard him in the hood, you heard him in the streets, people was bumping him in their trunks, and key point, DJs was playing them. The DJs, that's where all music tends to come from. However they get it, they decide what's hot, what's popping. They give it to the streets, and then we put our thumbs up on it or thumbs down on it. It's just something organically that happens when music is released into the world. For the artist, you have to get out there. You got to either slang these CDs, pop the trunk, or get on social media and do what you need to do. The problem is with social media is social media was good to promote your music for a minute until the almighty advertising industry got involved. So all the way up to this point, the artists, the DJs, the clubs, and the street have full control over the music industry. Understand what I'm saying? Now, was shady stuff still going on with that? Yeah, of course. Pay to play was still going on. I'm not saying that stuff didn't exist, but at least the people that were getting on were people of quality, because you couldn't come to the studio whack and crazy and ratchet and with no skill set. I turn away artists all the time who want to book my studio. I got money. So what? I can't sit here and listen to you do that. It's garbage, it's trash, and the money's not that good. Okay, so what? You got thousands of dollars, I could care less. That's just me. But I also know other people, other engineers and producers that just won't do it. Just can't work. Look, this is what used to happen to me back in the day when I first came back from Alaska. If I tried to work with a producer or go to the studio, they would just tell me I need to work on my vocals. Like, don't come back until your vocals is ready. You're wasting money. Once they got to know me, they would finally just say, you're wasting money. You're not ready. You know what I'm saying? It's just, or your lyrics aren't right. They would give me serious criticism. And they would straight tell me, now, if you want to come here and give me free money for this trash, fine. That's how the Bay was back then. It was just too popping. You couldn't come there whack with whack this and whack that. It just wasn't happening. You had to put in work. So it was just an environment of responsibility from the producers and the engineers. You know what I'm saying? They don't like recording the vocals over and over and over and over and over. There's just real people in the industry want to do the best. They want to work with the best. So they don't want to put their name on it if it's ratchet, because then someone says, hey man, you work with them? They're horrible. You know, so I've turned away tons of artists, passed on tons of recording sessions because I just didn't want my name on it, straight up. The money wasn't even, what good is the money if it comes back to haunt you? Like, they were trash. You recorded that? You didn't say nothing? You know what I mean? Like, really? So you have to understand that's just the culture. So for a very long time, music, there are tons of people in the world who want to be in the music industry, but they had to pay dues. If the street said no, I'm sorry. If DJs was saying no, I'm sorry. If radio was saying no, I'm sorry. And I mean radio before they were bought up by Clear Channel and all these other conglomerates. I mean real radio where DJs had a say. Before the DJs, really just kind of completely sold out. And you know what I'm talking about. I've posted multiple videos about radio station DJs talking about these checks. All right. So, and that was great. We all kind of accepted that there was a process and some of it sucked. I've lost money don't even get me started how much money I've put into marketing promotion and just, people take advantage and do whatever. But at least I kind of knew how the game was getting played, right? Now, here we go. I remember the first time that we'll say one of these conglomerate, I call them advertising companies. They're not really, to me, they're not really record companies. They are conglomerate advertising companies who promote products on radio, who buy radio stations to promote products. Their number one goal is not and never has been to promote great music. They're a business that needs to promote products and make money. And to do that, they had to figure out, how do we get control of the music industry? How do we do it? How do we get the control away from the DJs and the station owners and whoever it may be to tap into this resource? How do we control it? Because at that time they couldn't control it. So what do? They build up that capital. They come in, they swoop in, and they buy. They go from city to city and they buy up these radio stations. That's what they do. Clear Channel, whoever the heck else is out there, they're really advertising companies. So they buy up and they go top 50. They take your local radio station and they take it from top 100, or actually more just, they'll do top 100. Maybe your local radio station was top 100 along with local artists. Clear Channel come in along with some of these other conglomerate advertising companies, buy them up and go to top 50. And in some cases, top 25. And it's not like you didn't notice. Don't even try it. Because I lived in the Bay Area and I lived in Los Angeles and I've traveled. And I got to say, no matter what city I was traveling in, you noticed that you were hearing Drake every other song, or you were hearing whoever the hell's heck every other song. You can't say you didn't notice. See, back in the day, let me school everybody about real radio. Back in the day, you had to stay up to hear your favorite song. They weren't going to shove these songs down your throat. That's how radio stations made money. So if you were up and you knew they were going to play this song, they're going to play that song one time, and you would have to stay up and listen to the radio. That's how the radio stations built brand loyalty. You were loyal to the radio station because they were going to play your favorite songs, but they're going to play people from your city, multiple artists from your city, and they weren't going to shove these artists down your throat because they wanted you constantly listening to the station. And the only way to do that is to make you wait in anticipation for the song you wanted to hear. So you listening to the radio station all day long. Because what good is listening to the station if they're going to play the same song every 15 to 30 minutes? You can turn that station on, turn it back on, that song will still be on, or came back on again. So back in the day, that was the draw. You're going to get more variety. You're going to get better. The DJs and the program directors were all on the same page. Everybody was all together. We were all one big happy family. And then here comes these conglomerate, these groups, whatever you want to call them, come in, advertising groups coming in. And it's not like they hadn't been there. The relationships between these advertising companies and the radio stations have always been like just a good bad relationship. The advertising companies needed the radio stations to reach the public, and the radio stations needed the revenue from the advertising company. It just was what it was. But the advertising companies were not in control. Okay, that's the difference. Back then, they were not in control of nothing. They were just part of the process. But they got tired of that. And they have been trying and have successfully succeeded in getting control of the music industry to completely subjugate us to what we are currently calling music, which is just a bunch of mess. So you have the past of how it used to work, and now you have the current way. So what they did is went and bought up all of the stations that they could buy up, black radio, and they're the kind of genre they wanted to buy. They structured this pay to play, AKA marketing, promotion, whatever they want to call it, third party kind of situation. So it never comes back to them. So what you will see is a lot of these artists are coming to these advertising companies saying, hey, I need to get more spins on your station, and paying however many thousands of dollars per spin. It is a per spin type of situation. You want to get played in LA on this station? Okay. There is somebody sitting behind a desk. Either they're sliding over this paper or emailing you this paper or straight up telling you in the face, okay, well, we can provide you 1,000 spins, and then there's a magic number. I hate to tell you, that's what it is. That's what's going on. That's what's going on with most of these advertising companies. Okay. And then we're going to change our name to fool everybody, because let me tell you, the kickback from a lot of the cities was dramatic, especially in the Bay Area, when they bought up one of the beloved stations and tried to go top 50. Oh, the protest was real. Local artists, local business, we wasn't having it. Trust and believe. So they had to bend a little bit, but they're still there. They still own the stations, but they had to give in to demands a little bit. Still don't trust them cats. So you've got to pay to play. So this, and I'm not even got to the social media part yet. I haven't even got to the streaming parts yet. This is just the beginning of the end of the music industry as we know it. So as the advertising companies started taking control over the music industry, you start seeing them planning their people. I mean, not just owning it, but planning their executives within the stations. You're now program directors or advertising directors. They still carry the title of program director, but they don't know nothing about music. They're just trying to figure out how to increase the revenue. Hey, it's business. I get it. But these record companies now are even entrenched with advertising executives. Why? Because unfortunately, we thought that when iTunes came out, we thought that the whole opportunity of downloading was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, which it was. On a lot of ways, the worldwide reach was great, but the consequences was a reduction in sales because now people didn't have to buy albums. And then when streaming came, that was the death. Streaming is pennies, y'all, pennies. And what little bit that Trump did do with the streaming stuff is still not even close to what it should be. But the reality is artists are no longer making money. There is no money in the music industry when it comes to sales. It's not there no more. It's gone. All money is generated through touring, which is why record labels start offering 360 deals. Does this all sound familiar to anybody? It should. If you're currently in the music industry, and if you've ever been offered a real record deal, it's normally a 360 deal, because a record company has to make money. They've got to get their money back. So now they're dipping in pockets that they didn't have to dip in before. They didn't need to get the touring money before because they were making monies off the album. Between the royalties and everything else, yeah, they were straight. But now that's nothing. Just crumbs. So now they've had to up it. They had to make sure they get their money on. And the only way to do that is to get into the artist's pocket through their touring. So now you've got the advertising company completely enthralled, completely embedded in record companies and radio. They've taken over. If you didn't know, now you know. It is no longer, and they'll put a figurehead. Don't get me wrong. They'll take somebody you trust and make them the president of something, and so is the vice president. They'll make it look so legit, but it's always right in your face. Let alone if it's product placement or all these other things that they do to make sure that the advertising revenue is increased because there's no money in music and they know it. So now what you have, along comes social media. Oh, this is great. Social media is great for advertisers. It's their ground zero. It is the mecca of everything, because between buying your data to know exactly is what you're doing, what you're looking at, what you're buying, this is like the holy grail for the advertising companies, let alone if they are selling shoes, whatever it may be. Anything that has to do with advertising, social media and advertising is like a husband and a wife. Okay, it just goes together perfectly. They buy data from the social media companies to figure out what you're doing every day, all day, which is why Facebook is always in trouble and all these other ones are always in trouble, because you all hear about this data farming. What do you think they want? They want to know who you are and what you're doing, what you're buying, it's not even rocket science, and they don't even hide it. How many times has Facebook told you that that's not what they were doing, and then magically, yeah, they were doing it? You're so caught up in Snapchatting it and tweeting it and Instagramming it and everything else that the advertisers are doing it in your face, straight jacking you, and you don't even, well, you do know now because we've seen enough of it in the news, but you're so entwined with it that you don't even care anymore. Let me tell you something. Most people know this. I work in psych. And on the hospital floor, people can't have access to their phones. Sometimes you're there for a week to a month. And one thing we all said and we all noticed is that as important as we thought these phones and these social media apps were, a lot of these people start feeling better by not having it. They don't have their phones and they're not checking emails. They can't have that stuff on the floor. They don't even have access to it. And when they realize, wow, I never realized how much control my phone had over my life, over how I was feeling, how much of my life I was spending on my phone. I'm actually having conversations with people I don't even know. I mean, it's so groundbreaking to them that it really scares them to see how much control that a phone, social media, and apps was having all over their life, what they would be doing at dinner, at home, always on their phone. They talk more to their family now than they ever did. It's incredible. And that's the consequences of allowing these advertising companies and social media companies to take over our lives. Straight pimping us. So back to the fakeness. So here we go. Now these two are like Bonnie and Clyde together, social media and advertising companies. If you don't believe, they have little conferences talking about how to maximize their partnerships and relationships. You better wake up and ask yourself. You may not be invited to these parties, but I've been to one. Matter of fact, in the last, was it 2 years ago when I went to LA? And I'm going to throw up in my mouth when I heard what I was hearing. First of all, let's get to the meat of the subject. Fake streams. I'm going to say, when I talk about what happened at that conference, the first time I knew something was wrong was when I was on social media, YouTube, and this rapper had maybe 5 million views, but he was trash. And this was, almost a decade ago. Trash. I'm like, how is this possible? This dude sucks. And so, you're kind of looking at artists and you're seeing things, but you're not knowing how and the why. Let me give you an example. For instance, I have a video that has like a couple million views, and I had a check sitting at YouTube, didn't even know it. I had monetized it, and it just, boom, authentic. It was just, I had like a couple of thousand, it was like $5,000 or $6,000 sitting at YouTube. Oh, that was a nice little check. I appreciate it, along with the checks I got after that. But when I start seeing 30 million and all these views, I know how to do the math. I know what I got. I know what my check was. So I'm like, wait a minute. You cannot tell me that no way. There's no way these cats is getting checks, right? It just don't make sense. You're getting checks for being trash? Nah. So what you end up doing is you start doing the math on a lot of the stuff you're seeing on YouTube. 10 million here, 30 million there. It's just, before Lil Yachty even blew up, I was already talking and speaking to people. having conversations with people in the music industry about this issue. So that is probably around, when was LA? Jeez. I can't even remember. Over a decade ago, before I moved to Texas. And at that time, it was the first time I had ever heard of the streaming services. And of course, that's the term they use, streaming services. I said, well, what the heck is that? Well, they help you promote your music. Oh, okay. I'm thinking it's hot. All right, cool. You give so-and-so this many streams and this much money, and then you get all these streams. But I knew right then and there, something wasn't right. Because problem number one, why was it always rounded off to the thousands? It was never an odd number. Now, you want 1,000 streams, you pay this much money. You want 5,000 streams, it's this much money. If you want 10,000, if something was off in that. And so I used to ask questions like, everybody knows me as being difficult when it comes to business. Like, oh, Marquise is difficult. Like, you better have it right when you talk to him, because if anything smells funny, he's gonna start asking questions. That's who I've always been, which is why I've never had record deals, why I've turned down record deals. I smell it and I say no. It's not rocket science. So when they first started talking about these companies, I just knew something wasn't right. Like, how do you know 7,000 people were gonna listen to this song? Like, how do you know that? It just didn't. So I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm gonna just keep doing what I do. Now, at that time, what I would do was what everybody would do. You would take the link to your song and you would paste it and you would say, hey, everybody check out my song, like my page, like the song. That was basic social media 101 promotion. You go on these groups and you would do the same thing. You would chat with people, just thanking them. I mean, you put in work. You had to. Along with, of course, going out and handing out CDs at various events. I mean, that's just what it was at the time. Even with social media, it was more work. But when I saw that coming, I knew, I just didn't know what they were doing. I was unclear on how that was possible. Like, how I'm gonna get 10,000 views? Huh. Okay. So then, still in LA, and I'm introduced to it in various ways at various events. People coming up to me and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so. I do social media promotion, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we can help your numbers blow up. I mean, if you would ever hear the things they're saying to you, you just had this funny feeling about it. Like a con, like there was a con to it. Like, I'm going to sell you this property. It's a great location, kind of thing. It's in a desert. It's great, untapped, potential. But every time one of these social media people came to you, and especially if they were attached to a radio station started doing it too. Hey, my guy at the so-and-so radio station, the radio stations were a little different because what they would do is you would talk to their representatives and they would send you to a third party. And that's how you would get in through the back door of spins. But social media was all about likes and subscribers. So probably 2 years before I moved to LA, I had just had enough, right? I'm talking to all the artists I produce. I'm like, look, by then everybody was doing it. The regular people who listen to no one knew outside of the record industry, the music industry yet. No one really knew how bad it had gotten. So at this point, everyone's using these services, but still no one really kind of knew. You knew something wasn't right, but you didn't know how it wasn't right, like how it was being done. That wasn't getting discussed and it wasn't getting said. Because if someone told you that it was fake, you're not gonna, let me get this right. You want me to give you money for fakeness? No, you just wouldn't do it. So you were almost lying to yourself, hoping and believing that the 50,000 likes you were getting or plays you were getting was authentic. But then it happened. Music started changing. So I would say that advertising companies and social media, I'm not going to say they were in the room and said this, but it was clear that it was happening. Because remember Rompers? They tried to tell us that was going to be the new thing. And it was so ridiculous. It was so well rejected. But if you would have saw the campaign for it, you would have just thought it was the hottest thing and people were already doing it. A couple of celebrities fell for it, but most people were like, get out of here. And that's kind of what we saw in the industry when it came to advertising companies and social media. What they did is advertising companies took a product. It didn't matter if it was an artist, a shoe, or whatever it was that had no following, partnered with social media and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want this to be hot. Social media would come back and say, okay, well, if you want that to be hot, let's come up with this campaign. And even if you go on Facebook and their business stuff, it's called a campaign, right? So, and we're going to make something out of nothing. If you haven't seen Paris Hilton's and that other guy, their Netflix special, they actually showed you how they did it. They had a fake clothing line and people were ordering fake clothes. It was crazy. Like they showed people and like, it was unbelievable. Like, you have to understand the diabolical minds that come into this whole thing and get you to believe it. But the truth is, what should be hurtful to you is the fact that you keep falling for it as a consumer. You smell it and it don't smell right. You look at it and it don't look right. There's every warning sign there to tell you that something's not right, but you still eat it. You still look at it. You still accept it. And so that's how they get everybody. So these two entities basically try to force feed us something. So of course, what's better than force feeding it? Getting you to accept it. So we become so caught up in believing likes and plays. That was the key, is getting the public to accept that likes, plays, views, and subscribers is the new way of determining if something is of quality or importance or relative. You know what I'm saying? Hot. We'll just say hot because my brain's not working all the way today. If it's hot, if it's popping, so by that, they're basically lying to you and telling you that everybody else believes this is the bomb too, when no one even knows. Everybody's looking at it the same way you're looking at it going, what? Well, it has 1 million views. It must be true, right? You feel me? So by these two entities doing that, getting you to accept these new ways of promoting things and accepting things, you were doomed from the start. Because the minute you accepted that likes, subscribes, and all these other click services were real, you were doomed. They had you. You were on the hook. Henceforth, here comes social media artist. Unproven, unknown, unheard, not even good. So, and if you ever listen to them, they'll tell you in their interviews how they started. Lil Yachty has not hidden the fact that he was at school and that the first time his song got played in a big way was not because it was popping, it was more of a parody. Lil Yachty's first views were not because someone was saying this dude is great, it's because they thought he was trash and like wasn't hot. So somebody used it in some movie or something, and then, I mean, of course it got some views, but not what you think. So from there, along with a host of other people, what did they do? They used social media streaming services to boost their numbers, because by this time, everybody had already bought into the whole click and view and subscribe methodology. If he has 1 million views or an up, he must be hot, right? So now you have all of these fake artists, fake rappers, because remember, it was mumble rap. These guys wasn't even really rapping and didn't even hide the fact they were just mumbling through. Lil Uzi said, I'll say "yah" through the whole song, because he knew what you didn't, that it didn't even matter. The content didn't matter because the acceptance of the music was not based off of you. It was based off of clicks. You didn't have to like it. He knew he was going to get 90 million clicks, views, and subscribers because it was going to all be fake. So what happens is, it's so good. It just the hustle. You gotta give them credit, man. It's amazing the stuff that these guys pulled off. So at this point, we start seeing these fake artists coming into the industry, and hence mumble rapping takes off. But it made no sense to anybody because it wasn't getting played in the streets. It wasn't getting played by DJs. It wasn't getting played in the clubs. I've talked about this a million times. I've told people, like, why are you listening to this trash? Like, it made no sense, right? Because they hot. It's lit. Who said it was hot? Who said it was lit? They got these views. They got these subscribers. Oh my stars. People, 92 out of the 92 million views he got, 5,000 of that was real. That's how bad we've gotten as consumers. So we determined, and everybody was determining hotness based off of what you saw on YouTube likes. Oh, it must be hot, man. This must be it. Because he got 92 million views, and everybody wants views. Everybody wants likes. So if everybody wants views and likes, you gonna just roll with whatever you see. All the fakeness. When I went to that conference, a Chinese guy, Russian guy, talking about their businesses, providing social media support. And the names they change. Social media support, social media, it always changes to make it so you won't catch on. But I wasn't dumb. We can guarantee that, which is why YouTube, and now this year, most of these major social media companies like YouTube and Twitter, Instagram, they now have algorithms to catch fakeness. But they wasn't worried about it before because the advertising money from it, right? But now it's gotten so bad that you spent $1 million advertising your product, but you were getting no sales. You were getting no real likes, no real clicks. So people were catching on. It's a con, like a pyramid scheme, right? So basically this year and last year, I think is when people start getting woke. It's just ridiculousness. And I would say that when you see award shows and when you start seeing stuff live, you see some of these concerts, some of these people were waking up like, this dude is trash. Like, I'm here at this concert and I'm better than this guy, Because in the past, you wasn't saying you were better than Whitney. You were better than Mariah. You were better than Aretha. You wasn't better than none of them. You had to put in work. But you start seeing a major influx with people with no talent getting on. I just need a dope beat, and I'm gonna mumble my way through these tracks, and I'm gonna spend $50,000 on a couple of million likes, and it's gonna be on and popping, because that's the industry now. So now here we are, a hot mess. Everything's upside down. Nothing makes sense. The industry is in disarray. We're listening to trash. The real artists are acting more than they are performing because that's where the money is. So that's one of the reasons real artists stopped doing albums. They jumped ship a long time ago. Your 50 Cents, your whoever else start doing movies. Why do you think that is? They knew well in advance that the industry was a sinking boat and they had to start making income other places. That's why they start diversifying. But us as consumers, people, we got to wake up. Jeez, these artists are just laughing in your face, putting out songs that's no quality at all, fake food. And you falling for it. You think it's hot and it's lit. The only thing that's hot and lit is the beats. That's the only thing you really care about. If that's the case, forget the artist, just listen to the producer. You don't need the artist on there. He ain't doing nothing anyway. Look, let me talk about the producers real quick. Fakeness there too. So technology always made it to where, the fakeness is all around. It always made it to where we always had to do a level of work. When I grew up, when hip hop started, there wasn't really samplers. The Mirage came out. You could sample loops, but even with sampling, you had to know music really well. You had to go dig in crates and find songs and create these. There was a level of creativity, but even with that, sometimes you'd play the songs. You'd have to learn how to play some jazz. You had to learn how to play some R&B. You had to learn how to create music to make music. There was no automation, even though back then they had the synthesizers. But even with that, there was a level of creativity and knowledge you had to have. And that's how it was for decades. All the way through the early days of hip hop when we were using MP3 4000, you still know how to you still would have to know measures. You still would have to know how to you still had to make music. Even if you were banging it out with your fingers on a drum machine, you had to put in work. You had to know what you were doing. And then here comes FL Studio. If you don't know about FL Studio, it is the easiest music program. Back in the day, we used to laugh at this program. It's like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. You didn't have to do nothing. You just tab everything in. You just push, I'm going to put a note here. I'm going to put a note there. I'm going to put a note here and I'll put a note there. You would play it, right? You don't have to bang it out or anything. I know people that have actually made songs not even playing keyboard. They tabbed everything out. Man, I'm like, FL Studio blew up. FL Studio is the primary program for making trap music. And if you attach the Fire controller to FL Studio, that's it. It's all automated. You ain't got to do nothing. You just got to push a button, these buttons to lay out how you want the drums to go, and that's it. There is no work. That's why you got 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old producers now. 50. Most of these producers who are hot are young. They didn't have to go through what I had to go through. They didn't have to take band. They didn't have to take music. They didn't have to do anything. All they had to do is learn a program. This is their generation, computer generation. But that now has created the fake food of producing now. Now we got fake food producing because they don't want to put in the work. So because of that messes up licensing. Back in my day, if you wanted to license my song, you don't even want to know the kind of money I was making on licensing with networks and artists. Man, we're talking thousands of dollars. Lil Nas paid $30 for his beat, a license for his beat, $30. You couldn't buy 30 seconds of my song for $30, even today. But that's what happens with fakeness. The more you accept fakeness, it cheapens everything. If you went up to Dre and said, "Hey Dre, can I get the 30 seconds of your beat for $30?" Man, he'd probably punch you in your face. But that's the world we live in. There are these websites that are selling beats, licensing beats, not even clearing some of the samples, and you're paying 30. You should have known right then and there something wasn't right. If you've known enough about the music industry, right then and there, you should have known something wasn't right. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's right in your face. You smelling it, it don't smell right. You see it, it don't seem right. They're not even hiding the fakeness. The fakeness from production, using FL Studio, the fakeness from the artist, buying streams. So buying streams, just all of it is created this atmosphere of bad food to your ears, to your eyes. So when that Rolling Stone article came out, I was like, yes, redemption. You don't know how many people were like, text me like, yo, dude, I just saw the Rolling Stone article. I'm like, why? Why did you have to wait for that article to come out? I told you that stuff. No, I'm just saying, dude, you was right. I'm like, okay, thanks. I can't even tell you how many emails my friends, people in the industry, like, yo, you always know, dude. That's why I always call you. I'm like, yeah, well, it's not like I didn't tell you this stuff. And you still went in and spent all that money on fakeness. You understand? So, and it's sad because I hate to say that it's changed so much that the basic, so just to let everybody know how it happens, we all know, I've posted it. There are these farms in China and in Russia where they hook up thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of phones to create these fake accounts, to do fake streams. I mean, fake likes and fakes this. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube if they haven't pulled them down already. And they show you how they do it. But that's basically what was happening. Before we even knew it, China was already, back in the day when we were all seeing it, we didn't understand it, but that's what was going on. It already existed in a big way in those countries. They're already pimping us. And we didn't know it. Come full circle, look, everybody, if you're in the music industry, you have to make a choice. You're going to be a fake artist, you're going to be a real artist. Real artists, you don't care about this. You care about the authentic likes, the authentic streams. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from some of these other companies and just go with real people. You can ask them questions about the music they like. Why they like this song versus another one. You can't get that from fake somebody that's not there. And the number one rule is, if you got 1 million streams, you should see something in sales. You're not going to get 1 million streams and no sales. Like 5 cents. Nah, dog. If 1 million people love you, then they loving you and you're going to reap the benefits from that. Straight up. Now, is everybody up to speed on fake streams? Everybody got it? We all on the same page. If you're an artist listening to this, stop using those companies. Stop it. If you're a consumer, if you see an artist and you know he trash, I don't care how many views and likes he got, then he trash. Okay, and I mean horrible. No rap skills, no play skills, no, just your grandmama's better than he is. You feel me? Stop dancing to the songs that you know ain't good. You know, it's like eating bad food. Your body's gonna only let you eat bad food for so long. I'm going in on y'all today, man. I'm not playing, because now I got the ammo to do it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yo, let's talk about Congress real quick. So, Congress finally has stepped up and said, and it's funny, the only time they cared about this and if it's affecting politicians. So, probably a decade ago, you had all the actresses and actors coming out talking about deep fakes. The porn industry was using it. I'm not going to say them specifically, but there were people in the porn industry taking their image and attaching it to bodies in porn. That's where it first kind of started. Well, in a negative way. The movie industry has been using this technology forever. This is not new technology. It's actually technology that existed, let alone if they did it in one of your favorite movies. You can watch any movie with CGI and other technologies where they're creating. Benjamin Button is a perfect example. How they put his face on a younger body, and just various other movies were using this technology. The difference is, again, price. There was a period of time where this technology was so expensive, of course, the regular consumer wasn't going to be able to afford it. Just like Pro Tools. Pro Tools was super expensive one time. Now it's not. That's what happens to technology. So eventually it got cheap enough to where the average citizen could grab it, use it, and take advantage of it. And where did that come out? In the porn industry first. And as the film industry started protesting and pressuring Congress to do something about it, they didn't do absolutely nothing. They didn't care. It didn't affect them. They probably were watching the porns too. But of course, then it happened. During the Trump, during the Trump-Hillary wannabe president, there were a lot of these things popping up all over the place. Not as bad as it was after the fact, but then basically the government started seeing deep fakes all over the place. And they've actually shown people how scary it is. The technology is bananas now. You can't even tell the difference. Before it looked kind of mechanical. You could see something wasn't right. It's not like that no more. It's smooth. You can't tell. They had Obama, they had Hillary, they had Trump. They were showing like you cannot tell the difference in the mouth moving, and it's gotten out of control. So now they realize that the new election is coming up, and if they don't do something now, that these fakes are going to start coming out. Well, they already had started coming out, which is what prompted Congress to be like, look, this is going to be a major problem. We've got to get ahead of it. They don't know what to do, though. They don't know how to get control of it, because these entities, of course, are creating them and putting them in places where the government may not have access. So what the government is trying to partner with social media, are you going to partner with them? They have the problem. And other entities saying, hey, we need you to help stop deep fakes from being played. So, Facebook apparently has started closing down a lot of these pages and stopping a lot of these sites from using deep fakes, along with the streaming stuff, and along with other social media industries. They're doing something, but still Congress realized that how much of it is going to get out how much of this stuff will get out and impact elections. And unfortunately, it's going to be a lot, because remember, we're the United States gullible people over here. If we were believing fake streams, fake rappers and fake music, of course we're going to believe some fake politicians. Yeah. So it makes total sense why they're scared. They've already seen how much we believe in fakeness already. So yeah, the fear is there. Like, well, they believe this stuff. They're definitely going to believe this. Absolutely. Yep. I absolutely agree with you. So deep fakes is going to be a major problem from has been and will continue to be a problem, because people are continuing to be gullible. Listen, people, if you see something on TV and you're and it's on a social media site, I'm going to tell you right now, Go to people's real websites. Go to Obama's website. Go to Trump's website. Go to their authentic websites and see if that post exists. Go to their real pages. It doesn't mean that they can't get hacked. I'm just saying, go to the sources. Don't believe nothing from third parties. Zero, zilch, nada. Don't believe none of that. Matter of fact, you should be defriending any third party groups. You should need to get off a lot of these social media groups, and you need to put social media back where it belongs. Friends and family, where y'all communicate. Don't go to social media for no information at all, period. Go directly to the sites. If you want to watch CNN, go to CNN. Don't watch a post from CNN. Just go to CNN. If you want to watch Fox News, don't go to some off whatever. Go to Fox News and watch it. Stop being so gullible. Jeez. I'm going in on you guys because if I don't do it, if I don't give you this food for thought, who gonna do it? Because no one's concerned about your bottom line. Look, I care about you. Everybody knows that I'm about that life. I truly and genuinely care about people. I'm going to go in and always tell you the truth. And the truth is not always good. I've how many times have I talked about things that Trump has done that I like and stuff that I don't like? I can't say 100%. Now, his moral character, man, please, that's not even up for discussion. But just business wise, there's some things I like. And we can talk about that again. I'll bring that up on the next show. But this show, I'm just trying to wake you the heck up. I couldn't even play no music because it's so important for me to knock this out of the park for the last time. Like, I'm not going to talk about this topic again. If it comes up again, I'm just going to repost this topic. Now, I want to thank our sponsors before we leave. Yahweh International, Newfound Productions. We must give them all the props, man, because without them, this opportunity would not exist. We have some new things we're going to be doing with them, man. So y'all got to stay tuned. Some live stuff, man. Look, I'm your boy. I'm out here. I'm not your boy in that sense, but I'm your boy when it comes to the homie. You know what I'm saying? You can say, no, Arquise is going to keep it real. He's going to keep it 100. He's going to look out for us and make sure that we are fully informed and our families are protected. That's what I'm doing. Food for thought. It's your boy Arquise, man. I'm signing out. I love you guys, man. We're going to keep going after the souls, the minds, the spirit of people, and continually pushing for change. We got to get it. We have to change as a nation. We have to change as on this planet. We got to be better people. We got to be better humans. We can't continue. Oh, I got to share this with you before I go, because it's very true. We were sitting out. You know it's bad when you're at a psych hospital and this conversation happens. You know what? I bet you the animals look at us and go, God, you guys have screwed up everything. I must have laughed all week off of that. Somebody said that. Like, the animals must look at us and say, God, you guys are screwing up everything. Jeez. We liked it before you were here. Before you guys were in charge. And look what you've done. I believe that. I actually, now I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I can see the animals doing that. I can see, all the animals across the planet just hiding out, right? And having big conversations like, hey, remember when? Man, them humans suck. God, they're the worst. One day they'll be gone and we'll get it back. They'll screw it up and then everything will be jacked up for a while, but then we always come back, but they'll be done. Like, if animals could have a conference, it'd be something like that, right? And it just, it, because geez, sometimes you see videos of animals and you just, when you look in their eyes, you're like, God, they hate us. Then the same guy at the hospital said, if some aliens drove by, there's no way they would come down here. They'd be like, oh my gosh, y'all want to go to Earth? No, dude, that's trash. That place sucks, bro. Do you know the stuff they do down there? Like, this is not the cool place for aliens to come. If they came, they came back in the day, like when Jesus was alive, like when Egypt was popping, which is why a lot of time people will say, in a lot of the script and all this stuff that aliens visited back then. Oh, I can believe that. Yeah. But coming back again? Nah, I wouldn't. I'd be like, that's the hood. That's ghetto. I don't want to go there. They might jack my saucer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this dude was on point. Look, he just, he made sense. And he was dealing with his own mental health, but he knew enough to know that things suck. His life may suck, but it doesn't suck as bad as it does for animals who have to live under our guard, and anybody that flies by this planet and go, nah, we ain't going there. Matter of fact, let's put up some beacons to make sure that nobody else comes here. Yeah, man, it's just because that's how it is right now. Global warming's not real. Oh my stars. Okay, all right. It's just a buffoonery. So I just want to just leave y'all with that, and for the fact that if we continue to focus on money and capitalism, we're done. There are more important things than that. You know what I'm saying? And we need to get that money and capitalism out of the church. Everything needs to be free. Salvation needs to be free 100%. I'm leaving with that. We're going to talk about our next show. It's your boy Keith. I'm out.